This is my £200 Ford Mondeo, and it has been absolutely amazing. But it is missing something. And in this video, we're gonna bring this car bang up to date and make it feel brand new. Whenever you drive an older car, sometimes you just think, oh, it's missing some of those creature comforts. This is a titanium X model, so it is pretty well spec, but you can tell that this is an older car. Now, don't get me wrong. Going into this, I knew what I was getting. I was getting a cheap, well-spec'd car to get me around, and there were gonna have to be some sacrifices. But this car has been faultless. We took it on a 1,000-mile road trip to Scotland and back in 48 hours. And other than that, it's been my daily driver, but it has not had an easy life. We've been towing cars, doing tip runs, whatever we could throw at it, this car has handled it like a champ. But there are some upgrades you can do to this car to make it feel brand new. If you watch the road trip video, you'll know that I stopped off on the way back to see Steve and David Wright, and I got myself a facelift dash upgrade with the Convers Mod. Being a pre-facelift car, you've got this sort of matte silver trim around the cluster, and then you've got the picture of the car, which doesn't really do anything, and there's not a huge amount of information here. I mean, there's enough, don't get me wrong, and we've got the screen in the middle, but we can do better. On the return leg of the journey, at about 700 miles, I stopped in to see Stephen. He advertises this upgrade service on the Ford Mondeo Facebook pages, and he must have done hundreds and hundreds of these. He's so good at doing it. He whipped the dash cluster out in about a minute, so I didn't even get a chance to film the removal, but you pop the cover off the top of the steering column and it's just a couple of screws and it comes out. So with the new one in, you can see that the mileage is less than we've got on there. It's about 10,000 miles short nearly. So we're gonna have to change that. So with those screws tightened up and that cover clipped back in place, the swap's done. Of course, that was the easy bit. Now it needs to be coded and have the mileage correction done to make sure it looks, well, legit, and we've got no mileage discrepancies. So this bit took about 10 minutes. There was a whole bunch of stuff that he had to do, but the mileage is now correct. I mean, what a difference. What do you think? I mean, it's just freshened up the dash. We've got rid of that silver trim. There's a whole bunch of extra driver information that I didn't get before, and I'll show you that later in the video. But I think for £130, this is a great upgrade that really does freshen up the look of your Ford Mondeo. We're heading up to the barn now to do the next two upgrades. We're going to change the stereo for something a bit more modern. The sat-nav doesn't work and it just hasn't got the features of a modern car. And the second one is we're going to replace the antenna, because one of the things that's always bothered me about this car is the state of this antenna. All the rubber's peeled off, and actually it was super glued back on by my brother many years ago. So I've always been too scared to put it through a car wash because I know that thing would get ripped off, and that's just not going to do. So we need to sort this antenna out today. And because of that antenna fault, the GPS on this car hasn't worked in years. So what we could do, instead of fitting a genuine GPS antenna replacement from Ford, which is not cheap, we've decided to go for a more budget-friendly option. So we could just fit a GPS antenna behind the dash, and that would work perfectly well, and then replace the antenna on the roof with an antenna for a non-GPS car, which are really cheap on Amazon. So just for £10, I've got a replacement base and a replacement whip for the antenna. That's a pretty good deal. All we've got to do now is take the old antenna off and fit the new one. And with that T25 undone, we should be able to, oh yeah, it just comes away. Oh. Okay, so the inside there's fallen through. There's like a little plastic bit that holds this in place. And now with that off, we need to fit this new base. Now what you might realise is the non-GPS unit is smaller than the GPS version. What that means in real terms is, if we put that on that, you can see that you've got a nasty old rim all the way around it. And no one likes a nasty rim. So what we're gonna do to sort that brown stain out, right, to sort that brown stain out, we're just gonna get the polisher and we're just gonna buzz that off with a little bit of polish, and hopefully it should erase all traces of that nasty brown stain. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Tim, why have you not washed that before you polish it? Surely you're gonna scratch the life out of your roof. And the truth is, I don't care. I really don't care. Now it's not perfect, but I think you'll agree that most of the stain has gone. So
Yeah, do you know what? That's good enough.
You may also have noticed that the new antenna has an outie, whereas the old one had an innie. So we've got to cut the lug off here, the little locating pit that goes on the innie, so that the new antenna base can poke through that hole instead of the other way around. This is something that's pretty extreme, and I probably wouldn't recommend doing this to your own car, but look, we're doing this on a budget to keep this car on the road. But if you have a look at the base of the new one, you can see this sticky out bit is the bit that we're trying to get into the hole. It really is hard times up the barn here. The top of the silicon sealant had gone hard, and instead of buying a new tube, I just stabbed a hole in the side because, well, it does the job. But look, if you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, then maybe we'll be able to buy some more. And with a nice layer of silicon sealant on there, it's time to get this lined up and screwed into place. This is not a straight swap. Obviously we've had to drill out that locating pin, but now it turns out that the bolt that goes through is slightly too short as well. So I've just dropped the replacement. One moment. Okay, so we've tracked down a longer screw, but you can see that that sticky up bit, we could have just cut that off the gasket instead of the antenna and it would have worked. Now that second one didn't fit, so we're going even longer this time.
With that on,
okay, so much to the amusement of my brother, this doesn't fit. You saw me trying to screw it on and it's just having none of it. It's because the thread in there is smaller than the M6 thread on there. So what the hell are you supposed to do? Scratch my arse with it? I don't know, but look, we're moving on. I've ordered a different one of these off of Amazon. So we fitted the base. I've ordered a antenna whip with an M6 mounting hole thingamy-bob. So that'll be here tomorrow. So with that done, we need to turn our attention to the stereo. We've taken the GPS antenna off, and we can either put an aftermarket one in, or we could replace this head unit altogether. And so to make this car feel a bit more modern, it would be great if it had CarPlay. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this stereo out and replace it with an Apple CarPlay head unit. I think I ordered this on AliExpress a little while ago. It was about £130, but I have opted for the extra £15 for the DAB antenna, because again, it'd be really nice to put DAB in this car with that CarPlay head unit. To start removing the stereo, what we need to do is take the gear knob off, give it a good hard yank, and it should just turn off anti-clockwise. With that out of the way, you basically need to remove this lower section of trim. So this will all come out because there's some screw holes under here that you need to take out. Now there's a bunch of good videos on YouTube that show you a step-by-step guide on how to do this. That's how I saw how to pull this apart, so you don't really need me to go through it. But look, we use the trim tool that came in the stereo kit to pop those out, take the start button off, and then you've got access to the screws either side behind those as well. And then we've got 1, 2 down there. And with the bottom covers off, it was time to put the stereo keys in to try and release it. But we could not get this out. It just wasn't releasing. So in the end, it's just as easy to take the head unit out with the fascia all in one piece. And we'll deal with that later. And then just go around unplugging all the connectors. It's easier to start with the buttons at the top, and then you can pull it forward a bit more and tilt it down to get access around the back. You've got the big multi-plug on the back. Lever that up and it all pops out. Okay, more problems. So we've got 2 out of the 3 buttons in the top here, but this last one, just kind of see there on the left hand side, the button is catching, so it's not locating, so we can't push it in. Okay, so I just pushed it really hard and the button clipped in, but not ideal. Now we're gonna give it a quick test, make sure everything is connected and powers up before we screw it all back in, just so that we know it's good to go. Yep, all looks good. So with that in mind, let's get the DAB antenna fitted. We'll get the microphone fitted, and I think that's it. We'll be good to go. So yeah, obviously that's catching. And that is the offending article. I mean, it seems weird because this should just be a straight fit, but it's not for whatever reason. So guess we're gonna have to introduce this to Mr. Angle Grinder and get it done. and a lot of chopping later, it's ready to go back in.
With all that cut out, it should be a case of just putting it back together how we took it apart. But I thought that before, and then we had to get the angle grinder and things got serious. So let's try and put that head unit back in, and hopefully we'll have a CarPlay head unit that should freshen up this interior. Now there's a couple of other bits I need to do, like working out how to get these steering wheel controls working, but that should be playing with the settings. So I'm gonna take it for a test drive and see how we get on. Okay, so it's been a little while. In fact, it's been about a week. And I gotta say, I'm absolutely loving this Mondeo. It's made such a difference. And I'll show you in a second how much of a difference this has made. But I mean, guys, it's just a different car in there now. I can't get over. I mean, you can see how much I'm smiling. It's, yeah, do you know what? The more I drive this car, the more I enjoy it. But look, let's take a look inside and see exactly what it is that's made such a difference. So we've got the facelift dash with the Convers mod, and we've got this Android head unit that gives us Apple CarPlay. It's got all of the CanBus controls, and originally when I came out the barn last week, they weren't working. And because it's from AliExpress, there aren't really any clear instructions, but I managed to track it down, and now it all works. You go into the apps here, and you can see here we've got car setting. Now we want to go all the way down here to factory setting, and then it'll ask you for a pin. Now give it a minute or two. Helps if I press the button. Now I think the pin for mine 1617. There we go. So 1617. Have a look online. There might be a different pin for it, or it might come with it. But anyway, you go down here and we want to go to CAN type set. And then it gives us this screen here. So this particular one has got, so this column here is the name of the CanBus box or the manufacturer. So this is a High World, it's a Ford, obviously not a Mondeo. And then you've got the year, so it's a Gen 1 Mark 4 Mondeo. And then you've got the location, I guess, of the stereo. So I'm guessing that's for one of the Tesla style ones. And then you've got these. I mean, I've gone for middle high, and after a quick restart, yeah, wow, it seems to work okay. We've got volume, because that center knob didn't work before. We've got steering controls are working now as well. And obviously the aircon controls popped up as well. So there we go. Now with that connected, I know you'll want to have a look at how it all looks together. So we've got the facelift dash with the Convers mod, and we've got the Android Apple CarPlay unit. Let's have a look. Starting off with the facelift dash. So again, you can see we got rid of the silver trim around it, and it just looks a lot fresher. When you turn it on, you've got a lot more driver information straight in front of you. So you can see we've got this 0 here. That's the digital speedometer. I mean, we've got the speedo right there, so I don't quite know why you need it, but a lot of cars have it these days. But anyway, you've got the temperature gauge. And when you first get in the car in the morning and it's cold, there's a little gauge here that gives you, I don't know, optimal engine temperature for ragging the tits off it. I don't know. But anyway, you've then got a voltage and the fuel gauges along the bottom as well. So it looks different. It's got more driver information, but for me, I think it's just fresher. It's cleaner. The display's a bit better. And it's also got one cool little feature as well. So when you turn the lights on, you can see the little picture of the car, the lights illuminate. And when you put the main beam on, you get main beam, and then when you get the indicators, it indicates. So yeah, pretty cool. Again, it's just a nice little touch. It doesn't really add much to it, but still, I really like it. Let's have a look at the thing that's made the biggest difference to the car, and that's definitely this Android head unit from AliExpress. Now, for £130, I think it was a really good buy. And it's important to remember not to buy the cheapest ones, because you need more RAM and you need a better processor. So if you can, a 4, 6 or 8 core processor, and definitely more RAM. Don't just get the cheapest one. I think the cheapest option for this was about £84, £85. So we went up a bit, but we also added the DAB antenna and USB receiver as well, and that was another £15. So for £145, what a difference. Now, it was an absolute pain to fit, and it was not straightforward, and we had to trim the inner cage behind the dash, but it was well worth it. So let's have a look and see what we've got. So this is what it looks like. I'm not a massive fan of the default home screen, but obviously I'm going to be using Apple CarPlay, so I don't have to look at this for long. I connected to my Wi-Fi when I got home because I needed to download a couple of things. So one of them was the DAB app, so that I could use that USB DAB receiver, because it doesn't work on the default radio app, which is a bit of a shame, because then you've got two apps and yeah, it's just not ideal. But this isn't a factory system, so you've got to bear that in mind. Looking online, the best app is this one. It's a free download from the Android Play Store, if that's what it's called. And then you've got different DAB. You can search through it. I mean, you get the gist. It's a DAB radio. This is 2025. This is nothing new, but it is new to this car, which is great. Because it's not connected, one of the problems is a lot of the apps don't work. Now, like navigation, Google Maps doesn't work because it's not connected, and I don't want to pay the sort of £20-25 a month for an unlimited data SIM to be able to keep this thing connected permanently. And because of the way CarPlay works, I can't work out how to permanently tether my phone to the head unit and get everything working together. So it's kind of an either or situation, and for me, CarPlay is definitely the way forward. Looking at it here, I haven't even bothered ordering these apps, but that's what we want. Z-Link or Z-Links, whatever it's called. And there we go, we've got Apple CarPlay. So this is why I got it. All of the other Android stuff, it's not for me. I'm an Apple user, I've got an iPhone. So for me, this is why I got it, and it just brings it bang up to date, and it gives you the same experience that you get in any other car with CarPlay. It's amazing. I've got a digital radio app, so I don't have to worry about the signal from the digital radio not being the greatest, or after all that messing around, the radio signal not being better either. So I think one of the downsides with this is the radio strength isn't great, so I think it needs like an inline booster that you put in a VW, that sort of thing. And I'm sure you can get one for DAB as well, so I'm going to have a look at that on Amazon. But when you look at it, this is what we've got. It's just amazing. It's Apple CarPlay, and where it's connected to the CanBus, all of this comes up on the screen, just like factory. So what did we spend? Well, we spent £130 on the head unit. We could have got a cheaper one for about £84, but it just would have lagged and wouldn't have been great. This one doesn't lag, doesn't hang. It's just right for what we need. So £130 for that. £15 for the DAB receiver and antenna, so £145. We then spent £130 on this dash upgrade. Again, look him up on Facebook. I'll put his details down in the description. So that takes us up to £275. And with a little bit left in the budget for this month, I also went and got myself some new mats off of Amazon, which were £20. So we came in at £295 for this month. And I think for £295, I couldn't have spent that money any better to get this car feeling brand new, feeling like a modern car. So I can get in this, and it's just, I love it. It's brilliant. So what do you think? How much of a difference has that made? Is this a mod that you think you'd do to your car? And so for not much money, you can see it's made a huge difference. I just love driving this car now, and I think if you've got a Mondeo and it is feeling a bit old, I think these are definitely some mods that are well worth doing. Now, there's one problem with this car, and if I'm being honest, I'm starting to fall in love with it, guys. For a £200 car, this thing is amazing. I've been up and down the country in it. We've done so much with this car, and now it's a really nice place to be. With the leather interior and all of the Titanium X specification that it had anyway, it was great. But now with this, it feels like a much more modern car. And as I say, I think I'm starting to fall in love with it. And that's a problem, because for a £200 beater, I'm starting to get a bit protective. And there's a problem. It looks like, and I don't know when it's happened, but it's been recent, someone has keyed the Mondeo. It's a £200 car, I shouldn't care. But as I said, I'm starting to get attached, and that just won't do. So guys, I think we need to have a look in the next video about how we sort that out. for a cost-effective way. Obviously, we've got £300 a month to spend on this car, and I could probably take this to a dent guy or a smart repair guy, and they'd probably do that for about 300 quid. But I don't want to blow the budget on that because there's some other things we can do to make this car nice. So look guys, with that in mind, we're going to get this fixed in the next video. Let me know down in the comments how you think we should tackle it. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.